can I frame it? I think we can make it. There's no need to fake it. Oh no, 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 no.
Dan, thanks so much for taking the time out to be here with us today. We've been members here over the years. Our kids have enjoyed some amazing experiences here with some of the different programs that you guys have. So take a few minutes and talk to us about some of the unique things that you guys are doing in the schools and the community.
Yeah, well, I'd like to start off by just thank you for your support. We can't do this without the community and our members, so really thank you a lot for being part of who we are at OI. You know, we've gone through a lot of changes over the last couple of years, especially with COVID. The majority of what we do here at the Ocean Institute is field trips and school programs. In a typical year, we have about 100,000 students that come through our campus doing our maritime and science-based field trip programs.
Wow.
Everything from kindergarten all the way through college age. You know, about 10,000 of those come from Title I schools that are fully funded from our Adopt a Class program. So we get to bring students in from as close as San Juan Capistrano that maybe have never even seen the beach or the ocean before, and we get to show them that experience here at the Ocean Institute.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for kids of all ages and the public as well to come down, see our aquarium, see our ships, go out on the water, and really experience the science, the history, and the cultural resources here in Dana Point.
I think it's a part of Dana Point that a lot of people don't really understand or recognize. You know, we think of Dana Point, we think of the beautiful beaches, we think of the beautiful homes, we think of surfing, but there's a real rich maritime history here in Dana Point that you guys obviously have an opportunity to educate people on.
Yeah, you know, we're lucky enough to be right here at the end of Dana Point Harbor Drive, and you know, probably one of the most beautiful spots in the entire world. Kind of take it for granted sometimes, but it really helps us highlight our resources that we have here. You know, Richard Henry Dana wrote in his book 2 years before the mast, this is the only romantic spot in all of California. He wrote that about San Juan Bay in 1835.
Imagine that.
Yeah, right here. You know, who would have thought a couple hundred years later that we'd be here teaching his story, sharing his lessons with 4th and 5th grade students. And we're lucky enough to have our tall ship, the Spirit of Dana Point, and we had the Pilgrim here. And since 1981, we were able to teach these kids in these immersive on-the-water programs where they got to spend the night on the boats, go out sailing, and live the life of a sailor, just like Richard Henry Dana did. Learn a little bit about California history, pre-gold rush, and really why California became such an important part for the United States and our history.
My kids were fortunate enough to take part in that program. They spent the night on the Pilgrim. They got to be treated like sailors back in the day, and I tell you, they still keep talking about it today. It's just an amazing experience for kids, obviously growing up in this area.
Yeah, I wish I would have grown up here. I grew up back in New Jersey, but this is an experience you hear so many people talk about. You know, we've had 3 generations now almost spend the night on the boat, whether it's as a chaperone or as a student. My wife and her dad did the program when she was in 4th grade. And they still talk about it. Everybody I come in contact, I tell them what I do, and the first thing they say is, I spent the night on the Pilgrim. I did the Spirit of Dana Point program. I came through and did the programs on the Sea Explorer, the science programs. And whether you become a historian or a scientist, I think our programs really inspire kids and adults just to think outside of the box, think creatively, and really learn and continue to learn as they grow up. And I think that's one of the most unique things about the program.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Absolutely love it. So there's so much history in this area that people know very little about. We're standing here on a ship that's a replica of one of the ships that the city's namesake, Richard Henry Dana, actually sailed from Boston around Cape Horn into the harbor back in the 1830s. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, some people don't know that Dana Point was named after Richard Henry Dana. And Richard Henry Dana was a Harvard-trained lawyer who actually signed aboard a merchant ship called the Pilgrim in 1834. The goal of that ship and that mission was to come to California, which was also owned by Mexico at the time. It was called Alta California, and collect cowhides from the rancheros in places like San Diego and Mission San Juan Capistrano, right here.
Up the road.
Sailed into this area, anchored off the coast here, rode in, and went in to collect these cowhides. Now, the difference between Richard Henry Dana and most of the sailors was he was actually educated, came from a very wealthy family.
Yeah.
Most of the sailors on board couldn't even read. They had very little resources, and they were treated really poorly by the captains, oftentimes didn't get paid. Many of them died at sea, especially going around Cape Horn. And Richard Henry Dana documented every step of the journey, documented his experience and documented the experience of his other sailors. When he went back to Boston, he actually wrote a book called 2 Years Before the Mast, which was published and told the story of these sailors. And it opened people's eyes to the injustice that these sailors were being part of and how they were being taken advantage of. As he became a lawyer, wrote a lot of the laws and changed a lot of maritime history to give sailors the rights they have today. So you look out and you see these cargo ships, and they're directly tied to Richard Henry Dana because these sailors on board have the rights they have because of him. One of the other things a lot of people don't know about Richard Henry Dana is he took that experience and actually tied it into a little other part of American history, slavery, and became a huge abolitionist and actually was an advisor for Abraham Lincoln writing the Emancipation Proclamation. So he took his experience as an educated sailor and really changed history, and a lot of people don't know much about it, but we here at the Ocean Institute, we're trying to keep that history and that story alive. You know, we had the Pilgrim here, which was the replica of the ship that he sailed in 1835 to this bay.
That's right.
And we have the Spirit of Dana Point, which we're standing on right now. And we're going to keep telling that story through our immersive education programs. And the Spirit has a great history right here in Orange County. It was built by a guy named Dennis Holland in his backyard in Costa Mesa.
That's a great story.
His neighbors, I'm sure, loved him at the time. It was about 12 years, labor of love. And he launched and operated the boat right out of Newport Harbor until 2001 when it was purchased by the Ocean Institute. And we do sailing programs for kids, for students, and for the public. We do private charters, and we love getting this boat out on the water.
All right, Dan, obviously it takes a lot of money to finance an operation like this. Tell us a little bit about how you guys manage that.
Yeah, so we're a 501 private nonprofit organization right here in Dana Point, and most of our contributions come from private donors. We're lucky enough right now to have an end of year campaign going on, and we have one of our donors is doing a $200,000 match. So if we raise $200,000, he's gonna match that penny for penny, and we're really excited and really lucky to have that. This year we, just like everybody, have lost a lot of our revenue. We've had to be creative and find different ways, and this end of year campaign is going to help us keep us going, help us keep these ships and the history alive, help us keep our aquarium alive, and it's really the support of the community that we need to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and we've really seen the community rallying around a lot of local businesses lately, so good to see.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of support from everybody.
That's great, that's great. Well, I'll tell you what, Dan, it's getting close to sunset. It's my wife's favorite time of day, so I'm going to go meet her over here on the jetty, and we're going to enjoy a beautiful sunset.
Not a bad place to do it.
Aren't we lucky? We live in such a beautiful place. Not a lot of areas here in America that we can actually be walking on the beach during this time of the year, right?
Nah, not at all. This is such a gorgeous place. We're so lucky to live here.
That's so true, though. And then we had quite a day today. We went to my favorite place,
Coastal Kitchen. I know all your favorite spots. And we also got a little piece of history today at Dana Point, which is something a lot of people who live here don't know much about. So great day overall. Let's enjoy a nice walk on the beach while you check out a few of our top properties.
Let's do this.